Throughout history, royal thrones have never been just symbolic representations of power, but rather the ultimate prize, something to be seized by anyone ambitious, desperate, or audacious enough to claim it. Kingship, after all, wasn't hereditary in the modern sense. There were no birth certificates establishing primogeniture or legal codes determining inheritance. Dynasties had risen and fallen, titles changed hands and frequently disappeared, and the concept of a nation was still thousands of years away. So, in times of crisis, when established authorities failed and the old order seemed ripe for the taking, ambitious individuals with little or no legitimate claim to the throne stepped forward to fill the void. And because they lacked any real right to rule, these upstarts became known as pretenders. These pretenders to the throne flourished during periods of political chaos, dynastic crises, or national despair, moments when the boundaries between truth and fiction became blurred and people's desperate hopes overpowered their reason. They were the impostors, usurpers, and double agents of the past who nearly toppled empires and changed history forever. Today, we will explore some of the greatest pretenders and their astonishing rise to power. Russia's False Dmitry in the early 17th century. Russia was engulfed in a period known as the Time of Troubles, a series of political crises that began with the death of the childless Tsar Fyodor Ivanovich and continued with the regency of his unstable sister, Elena. This period of turmoil presented the perfect opportunity for a pretender to emerge. Enter False Dmitry, who claimed to be the miraculously surviving son of the infamous Ivan the Terrible. According to legend, the young Dmitry had been smuggled out of the country after his father's paranoid and brutal murder of his mother, and subsequently raised in secret. Emerging at the height of Russia's political crisis, he capitalized on popular discontent with the ruling elite and convinced a group of disaffected nobles to support his claim. With their backing, he entered Moscow and took his place on the throne in 1605. Documents from the Russian state archive and Polish diplomatic correspondence tell the story of Dmitry's meteoric rise to power and subsequent violent end. Initially viewed with skepticism, Dmitry won over the hearts and minds of the Russian people with his charisma and promises of reform. He even managed to secure the support of the influential Zemsky Soba, a representative assembly of the Russian nobility, which proclaimed him Tsar Dmitry I. However, his reign was short-lived. Backed by Polish and Lithuanian noble families, he proved to be an ineffectual leader, and his attempts to assert control over the nobility were met with resistance. Eventually, his rivals rallied their forces and marched on Moscow. Fearing for his life, False Dmitry retreated to the Kremlin, where he was besieged. Unable to hold out against his powerful enemies, he and his supporters fought their way through the city, ultimately meeting a violent end outside the walls of Moscow. Despite his untimely demise, the legacy of False Dmitry lived on in Russian folklore and literature, serving as a reminder of the tumultuous period known as the Time of Troubles. His story highlights the fragility of power and the allure of the throne, even for those with no legitimate claim to it. Perkin Warbeck, in England, following the Wars of the Roses, which had pitted the House of York against the House of Lancaster for control of the throne, England emerged with a new monarch, Henry VII, as the last surviving member of the Plantagenet dynasty. Henry's claim to the throne was shaky at best. His victory over Richard III at the Battle of Bosworthfield in 1485 had secured him the crown, but many still disputed his right to rule. Enter Perkin Warbeck, an impostor who claimed to be Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York, the younger brother of Edward V, who had mysteriously disappeared, along with his elder brother and their father, King Edward IV. during the reign of Richard III. According to Warbeck's story, he had escaped Richard's clutches and lived in hiding until he was ready to reclaim what was rightfully his, the throne of England. Warbeck's claim was taken seriously by many, including members of the Yorkist party, who continued to resent Henry's seizure of the throne. Documents such as Venetian embassy records and Henry VII's court documents reveal the extent of Warbeck's threat to the Tudor dynasty. His ability to rally support from disaffected Yorks and garner sympathy for his supposed royal lineage forced Henry to invest significant resources into countering the impostors' claims. This led to costly military campaigns as Henry sought to crush any potential uprising and cement his own position as monarch. Despite the resources devoted to tracking down and eliminating the impostor, Warbeck managed to evade capture for years. He traveled extensively throughout Europe, even managing to gain the support of foreign powers who saw an opportunity to weaken their rival, England. However, his luck eventually ran out. Captured in Ireland in 1499, Warbeck was brought back to England to face charges of high treason. Henry's court had long suspected the true nature of Warbeck's claims, and now the time had come to expose him as a fraud. During his trial, Warbeck's supporters attempted to bolster his claims with fabricated evidence, but it was to no avail. Realizing that his cause was hopeless, Warbeck switched tactics and offered to plead guilty if pardoned. Henry agreed, granting him noble status and a generous pension. Perkin Warbeck's story highlights the lengths to which those in power would go to protect their claim to the throne. It also serves as a testament to the lengths to which a desperate pretender might go to fulfill his ambitions. Despite his ultimate failure, Warbeck's impact on the Tudor dynasty should not be underestimated. His threat to Henry's authority led to costly campaigns and years of uncertainty, shaping the early years of the Tudor era in ways that few could have predicted. King Sebastian in Portugal. The year is 1578, and the Portuguese are facing a formidable opponent. The Moroccan army, led by the legendary commander Moulay Mustafa I. The battle rages fiercely, with both sides determined to claim victory. But it is at this critical moment that tragedy strikes. King Sebastian of Portugal vanishes from the battlefield. As the dust settles and the Portuguese realize the gravity of their loss, rumors begin to spread. Some say the king was captured, others that he was killed in action. But the truth remains elusive. What becomes clear, however, is that King Sebastian is nowhere to be found. The disappearance of the Portuguese monarch plunges the country into chaos. Without a clear heir, the nobles turn to Cardinal Henry, the king's uncle, to serve as regent. But his authority is challenged by a mysterious individual who emerges claiming to be the missing monarch. And so begins the era of Sebastianism, a period marked by the emergence of numerous impostors claiming to be the lost king. Chronicles from Lisbon's National Library and letters from Jesuit missionaries stationed in Ethiopia tell a tale of intrigue and deception. These accounts document the emergence of multiple false Sebastians, each with his own story about how he managed to escape the battle and subsequent captivity. The pretenders capitalize on the widespread belief that Sebastian is still alive and rally support from various factions within Portugal. Amidst the confusion and uncertainty, the cardinal struggles to maintain control. He faces opposition not only from the false Sebastians, but also from foreign powers seeking to exploit Portugal's internal strife. As the situation deteriorates, the cardinal reluctantly accepts the help of the Spanish king, Philip II, who sends troops to restore order. Despite the intervention, the claims of the false Sebastians continue to persist. One of the most persistent claimants is the Ethiopian, who had arrived in Lisbon shortly before the Battle of Alcazar, known as one of Austria. He presents documents purportedly confirming his royal lineage, and wins over many with his charismatic personality and claims of divine providence. As the struggle for the throne intensifies, the cardinal tightens his grip on power. He executes several of the false Sebastians, but the threat of further impostors continues to loom. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he turns to the Pope for assistance in deposing one and securing his own position. In the midst of this political turmoil, the true fate of King Sebastian remains a mystery. Was he captured, killed, or merely hiding, waiting for his chance to reclaim the throne? The answer may lie buried in the annals of history, lost to the machinations of ambitious pretenders and the relentless march of time. The phenomenon of pretenders starkly reveals how fragile concepts of legitimacy were in medieval and early modern times. While bloodlines played a crucial role in establishing inheritance, other factors such as perception, rumor, and propaganda also held significant weight. The stories of Russia's False Dmitry, England's Perkin Warbeck, and Portugal's King Sebastian demonstrate how easily a charismatic impostor could sway public opinion and rally support for his claim. These tales also highlight the lengths to which monarchs would go to protect their power. From the vast resources deployed to crush Perkin Warbeck to the execution of false Sebastians by Cardinal Henry, thanks to the detailed records left behind by chroniclers, ambassadors, and clerics, historians today can reconstruct how entire societies could be swayed by a convincing performance and desperate beliefs. While many usurpers met tragic ends, being executed, humiliated, or remembered as frauds, their brief power grabs demonstrate the inherent instability of monarchy and humanity's enduring fascination with lost heirs, vanished princes, and the possibilities of miraculous returns. These stories, once relegated to the fringes of history, are now being re-evaluated and celebrated for their contribution to our understanding of the past. They remind us that history was not merely shaped by true kings and queens, but also by those bold enough to impersonate them.